Howdy, folks. Let's start with the cussing in cars part of the day that comes in and why I was cussing when I got home. I was running late, right? Running late, and I'm trying to get in here so I can, at least catch Pontiac Power Hour. I never miss it, never have. And I thought, okay, maybe I will do my live. As I'm running up my yard, I got to where the javelin is, and the wind had blown the javelin hood over on its top, on top of concrete, an oil pan, part of you name it. Luckily, no dents. It just scratched it, which that just fits the car, so it's all good. What's happening, people? Trying to figure out. I think I got it all set up. Y'all can hear me, right? I mean, I ain't just been talking for a minute into thin air or nothing like that. Not like I do that now, but What's up? I am tired. They decided to send me way out of my way today, but it happens. Sup, Colleen, Sand Mountain, Timopar 67. Danny Boyd, first responder, 38 POS Racing. I almost called this channel POS Garage. And I thought, you know what? Somebody's going to come after me for that. But it is what it is. What's up, man?
Hey. Oh, not much.
Brent? Yeah, I got home late. I wasn't sure if I was going to do this or not. And I thought, you know what? I finally hit monetization. I at least had to have it on my first damn day, first week of monetization. So that went like really quick too. It took a day and a half, and I was fully like done. It wasn't no month. So.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And I wasn't sure. I was going to wait and put that video out with my truck. But everybody was like, I had some people message me like, when are you putting another video out? Well, I don't have the one done for the Javelin, but here's a semi. Where
it was funny go back watching your Javelin video because I was watching it and it's like da 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 beep da 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 beep da 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 beep.
Yeah, I cut. Like the plan is I'm going to do because you don't need to see me just completely tearing down a motor. You can watch that anywhere. I did do I videoed it all, like taking everything apart one by one. But what I figure I'll do is I'll just throw that all together, and if people want to watch it, it'll be on on my whatever subscriber part of it. But I don't even like watching that, so why would I put it out? Yeah. I mean, it's mostly me cussing about whoever built the motor. Like, that's no joke. The 5 and 6 piston in that motor had 1 and 2 on them. So they didn't even remark the rods whenever they replaced the rods and pistons in that. So what the hell happened to that engine was my question,
Yeah. Well, I got a Pontiac with different, well, I don't have it. My buddy has it. It's got different pistons in it, just simply because we couldn't. One piston was bad and we didn't go buy a whole new set, and we had one other piston that would work, so it got thrown in there.
Well, the other thing that used to happen is people would buy Jasper motors. Jasper was notorious for finding an engine, and they'd get a core and they would just bore the one cylinder. We'd literally get them back when I was a kid at Dustin Sons Auto Supplies. They sold Jasper engines there. If you wanted a complete engine, you just order it. And mechanics would bring them to the shop, and they didn't trust Jasper, so they'd pull the head off of it, and there'd be 130 over piston on one bank. The other bank would over. And I was like, oh, boy. And then, you'd have mismatched rods, and they didn't mark nothing. They just slammed it together and threw it off. Now, granted, I never used the numbers. but AMC, Ford was real good about they stamped all their rods. You know, you didn't follow them, but I would take. But they would take like Chevys. I'll just use and just punch 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, all the way down the line. Yeah, Amber's right here. So
hi, Amber. I'm filling up my contacts list.
Howdy. Are you? You got Derek on there now?
But I got to tell you, if you hadn't known Terry before our show, that guy is one of the coolest guys you'll ever meet. And he's just like us, where he will give you literally the shirt off of his back if you need it.
Right. I noticed that on
I've spent the entire time after the show, he's given me every number to every contact that I might need. And I'm going, I'm not turning these down. We're talking suspension companies, parts companies, big YouTubers.
He was just a good interview. He just a nice steady pace of conversation, no hesitation, it just flowed really nice.
That it's just, I don't know, it's really infectious. And you add in the fact that he knows what he's talking about. Yeah. He's actually building cars. It's a lot of fun.
I got that out of him when they did the square body thing.
Yep.
Out of all of them, he was the one that was just a normal guy. He wasn't, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's funny.
I watched him before, and so it was nice seeing him get that collaboration going.
It was funny when they did that square body. That's the same time we were doing the LS live, the Volvo swap. So we were all, hey, they stole our idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, they executed it really well.
They did.
Where's he out of?
He's out of New York.
New York?
Yeah, close to Jersey, but, you know, not Jersey. He made sure he wanted me to know that.
Yeah,
he's not quite, thank God.
Yeah. Well, going back to Jay though, when I was watching his Javelin, I was waiting for you to go down pulling that engine, because you're on that sheet metal. There's antifreeze everywhere. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like,
it come close.
If he's not gonna eat it, it's maybe just didn't make it on camera. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I didn't, but I cut out, you know, unbolting the engine and all that crap because it was just like, I'm not gonna. I had it all set up. I literally had it all in my editor, and I was like, it was like an hour and 20 minutes long.
No one watches that.
And I was like, nobody's gonna watch this crap. So I just cut it all down to where, you know, you see it spilling antifreeze everywhere, and me cussing because this damn transmission. Somebody put a transmission. I don't know if it was a pressure sensor or a temp sensor or what it was. I have no idea, but it's a pain in my ass. So I'm taking it off. It goes to the back of the transmission. Before I put the motor back in it, I'm going to get underneath there and adjust a bunch of stuff and put new seals and, you know, and I'm taking this damn thing off. There's no reason for it to be there. It's just causing problems on top of the motor, and it's going to scratch my pretty new paint. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
But I ain't got it completely together yet. It's
I'm looking
forward. I got to put the oil pan, and I got to put the upper end. I got to put the valve train, you know, your rockers, and I got all new push rods for it. So all the pistons are in. It's got brand new Silverlight pistons in it. It's it turned out to be more expensive than I wanted to put, but if it was any other motor, I probably would have just threw it together, you know, but not that.
I think it's great that you're doing that 304. I mean, like you said, it would have been so easy to just grab a 360 and throw it in there.
Well, it'd be just as easy to put a 350 Chevy in it or an LS. Yeah. You know, a lot of people. I wasn't the only Javelin on the tour last year, but I was the only long haul Javelin that was completely AMC. But AMC, you know, it's got a 727 torque flight in it, stuff like that. But it was the actual 304 that came in the car.
Well,
and
you know,
I wanted to leave it that way.
well, you know what? You say AMC, but technically the other ones were AMC as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Who knows what parts bin that came out of?
Yeah, you never know what came in an
it's
AMC.
a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I thought about building it up and make it.
Stop it.
But you know that 304 with what I'm putting in it, the setup I'm putting in it, and cleaned it all up. It'll still be fun to drive.
Well, for what you're going to use it for, it'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that'll be good, man. I'm looking forward to it. So there's a couple vehicles I'm going to try to get down to no name this year. And this time I'm not flying, I'm driving. So one is that 69 Mach 1. We're going to try to get that one done, drive it down. And the other one, I think I'm going to pull my baby out finally and get it back on the road. That's my 99 Trans Am convertible.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to get that
Convert it
thing all,
down.
try to get that down there and take a couple cars down and go hang out with you guys again.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
There's my shithead kid that don't take care of his Mustang.
Oh. Hey, speaking of kids, I'm going to hijack just for a second.
Go ahead.
If you're not my Facebook friend, good for you. I'm proud that you're not. However, I put out on Facebook today, my grandson, yes, I'm old enough to have a grandson, went viral on TikTok. And here he is. Let's see if I can get it to zoom in on Good Morning America.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Our play of the day and a hero's reception for a fearless toddler. Take a look at 15-month-old Mark Jr., the staff at Cincinnati Children's Hospital celebrating his heart transplant.
I've seen
So
that.
sweet there. His mom says that the surgeon was awesome, performing such a life-saving surgery on a heart size the size of our thumb. The mom adds that Mark Jr. is doing well and is scheduled to be discharged today.
Wow.
Love to see that.
Mark Jr., you go.
And he
Small
was
world.
discharged today. He
I
got a
had
transplant.
no idea that was your grandson, man. That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah. So actually what's crazy is he got his heart transplant and, you know, he'd been waiting for quite a while. And then my 7th grandchild was born just 2 days ago. So
Dang.
Lordy.
from my other daughter. So, whew,
Well, you're young. You're about the same age as me, I think, aren't you, Buff?
we don't talk about that.
I didn't say what age we were. I said,
Yes, very similar. My daughter decided she wanted to have a full basketball team. And when they all turned out girls, she decided, never mind, she wants a baseball team. So then she got the boy, but, you know, had the heart issue. So he's truly a miracle boy.
oh,
And
that's-
then
Now,
my next oldest daughter, she just had her boy. So that's 2 grandsons I have now.
so will he have to will there be like medication for the rest of his life with that heart to keep
Yep.
that from rejecting?
Yep.
yeah.
But holy cow, is he healthy? He went from heart failure to, I mean, other than having a heart transplant, they said he's doing amazing. Like almost
Good deal.
nothing wrong now. All of the ailments that he had were directly caused by his bad heart. And now that he's got this young, healthy heart, by the way, it wasn't the size of a thumb, it was the size of a palm, but the
Yeah.
news didn't get it right.
Yeah.
No.
That's a little bitty heart, you know?
Well, hold on. Are you telling me the news didn't get something right?
Oh, yeah. A little
What?
bit. And I told her, so my daughter's been freaking out because she goes, well, you're on internet all the time and you talk to celebrities and stuff. Like, what do I do? She goes, I'm getting interviewed by this news channel and this news channel, and I'm getting put on this and that. And I go, so we did like crash course sessions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we literally just got done talking about what to say on interviews and stuff. And I sent her that link to Good Morning America. She didn't even know she was on Good Morning America. She had done an interview with somebody else and Good Morning America picked it up. And I said, you know, you're going to end up on the Ellen show or something, if that's even a thing. I don't know. But some show like that.
Yeah.
because he's out of the hospital now. So as long as he doesn't go very far away from the actual hospital, they could come to him.
Wow, that's awesome.
No,
Yeah.
I'm glad
He's
he's
lived
doing
there.
good, bud. That's awesome.
He's lived most of his life. He's lived in the hospital, and because of COVID, I haven't even met him yet, like in person.
Wow.
Oh,
That's the hard
wow.
part. So they live in Tennessee, but they've been in Cincinnati, Ohio, at the Children's Hospital. So most of his sisters haven't, really spent much time with him either.
That's going to be your next trip then.
I need to go to Tennessee anyway because I got to go down to Kentucky to pick up some car parts, and I'm just thinking we could just make a nice little trip.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome.
That's awesome, man.
I didn't mean to hijack the cars part, but
no,
good news is good news. I'm happy to hear good news. There's enough negative news. Let's have some good news. It's all good, man.
ASO, Auto Salvage Outlaws, and I'm not soliciting for anything, but he said that he was going to gather up a bunch of Hot Wheels to send to Mark Jr. If you guys want to do that, you can go to my channel, and my P.O. box is on the channel. Feel free. I'm not asking, but if you want to send him Hot Wheels, she's building him. Like, they take turns. Mom and Dad swap out who's with Mark Jr. and then who's with the girls, but they're taking turns building an entire wall of his room with little shelves just for Hot Wheels. So if you guys want to send him Hot Wheels, send them to my P.O. box and I'll get all of them to him.
Wow.
We're trying to make him a car kid already.
Yeah. I got a whole basement full of Hot Wheels.
And if they come in the package, that's fine. But I doubt they'll stay in the package because, like us, we're going to drive the cars. We're not going to just look at them.
Yeah.
I will be on my hands and knees pushing cars on his floor.
I'll see things on the internet or on Marketplace of how much they're selling this Matchbox car or this Hot Wheels car for. And I'm like, I destroyed that in the sand pile in 1998. This worth what?
Anybody else blow theirs up or repaint theirs or make them look crashed?
I want to go back to the home place with a shovel.
You took the little axle out and swapped it out for a different set. And
yes, I watched it. So here's the amazing thing: things that we tried to do when we were kids. Guys now have these 3D printers, and they're literally taking the things apart. But did you guys see the one where they took Dalton's car and made it into a little Hot Wheels?
Yeah.
No, I
so
didn't see that.
They contacted me and they want to do one on the 63.
Oh, cool.
Which, if they can find a Hot Wheels to do it on, that'd be amazing. I want the real one first, but they're going to try to recreate the patina and they're going to lay it out, but they're going to do the same thing. They're going to adjust how the axle sits in there, and they're going to make the wheels sit way up like it's, slammed out on air ride, but they'll actually go in and 3D print the wheels to match whatever's on the car. And they did that with Dalton's too. They put Krager's on there or whatever he had on there.
Yeah, right on.
That's cool.
Of course, then they dremeled the crap out of it, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
I my big thing when I was a kid, because you haven't noticed I love building motors.
What?
I had stompers.
Yes.
I would completely gut them. And my dad he had this bar in the basement, and he'd go down there and get a beer out of the fridge. And he'd go, "What are you doing?" "I'm making it faster." He said, "How are you going to do that?" And I said, "Well, it's got one AA in it. What if I can put a 9-volt in it?"
Ooh.
So I'd gut them, rewire it, and make it. I'd cut the little plastic edgings off, and I'd make it so I could put a 9-volt in it. And I got in so bad trouble. My sister had this little AM/FM radio, back. We're talking the 70s here. This, late 70s, early 80s. So she
don't give it away.
She had this little Panasonic radio that took a 9-volt battery. And I took that apart and I cut the wires off of it. I didn't even ask her. I just cut the wires off of it and soldered. I'm 4 years old, and I'm soldering new. It was awful soldering job, but I got it in there. You put that 9-volt, you could get like 5 mile an hour out of that thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it would just fly. And stompers, they had those foam little rock-looking things. It hit that sucker and go launching. And I did that, and I can't remember. I did something. My uncle had a bunch of. He still has them. Is my dad's second youngest brother. His name's Sam. He worked for Yellow Freight for years. His biggest hobby was model trains. He has bigger than my garage, stacked bottom to top, and nothing but model train crap. Okay, and it's all like pristine. He's even got one. I don't know if he still got it set up. He had a great big track set up. He taught me. I had AFX racetracks. You know, the little AFX before they had the wall cliffhangers and all. This was just an AFX racetrack, and he showed me a way to make those slot cars run twice as fast. The problem was keeping them on the track.
Right.
And he'd show me where to use fishing lure weights, like weights on the back. Oh, this is how you do it, Jay. My dad be like, oh, God. This kid's going to be terrible. But I used to do that. I had the original Dukes of Hazzard where it ramped.
I had that.
And then my mom bought me the A-Team van that went on the same track. I had all that stuff. It's all.
I remember having the General Lee and then Roscoe's car. And they would, I had that exact track. I loved it.
Had a crossover and a ramp. That was the coolest thing ever. It was you could ramp a slot, you know.
Yep.
I don't even remember who made that, but they had them down there at Cooters. They had one, and I was looking at Zeppelin, and I was like, Zeppy, I had one of this. It's the original, too. I said, I had one of these. Yeah.
My Hazzard plates.
I ain't wearing the hat now, but I've got a Cooters hat that I wear. I bought when he was coming home from Power Tour.
You know, the guy that Wilburn had on that makes the plates, that's where these came from.
Yeah.
And then what's cool is this one came with the actual decal that's supposed to go down here on the corner. He makes the sticker and it's got the hologram and everything just like you would have gotten back in 83.
Wow.
So if you wanted to actually put this on your show car, it would have the actual sticker just like the show. But he doesn't stick them on. He lets you decide if you want to do it.
I had that too.
Oh, that's cool. I never had the Evil
Knievel. I had the Captain America version of that.
I've seen both of them, but I didn't have either of them.
So being on the Hazzard Talk and the Dukes of Hazzard, how are you making out with your goal, Buff? You get a hold of John Snyder yet?
Life has been a little rough at the Buffington house here lately. I do got my new live studio, which I am just enjoying, but no. So my plan is so John's wife is in the hospital, and while he's still doing social media, he's obviously a little preoccupied.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of just letting things go for now to see. I mean, hopefully she has full recovery and everything's fine. But just see how all that evolves, because the last thing a guy needs when he's full of stress is somebody like me going, hey, I want to meet you because I'm a nerd and I've since I was a kid, and I want to slide across the hood and be cool like you.
Yeah.
But once all that kind of passes, then it'll probably be full on. I don't want to use the word assault inappropriately, but full on assault to get on social media and just really get my presence known. And if that happens, then of course there's the ultimate meetup. And I'm telling you, if I meet John Snyder, y'all are going to hear about it first. So
I met the only one of the original. I mean, we're talking the main people that I never met was Sorrel Brooks.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd have to go. I can get him out sometime and I'll show you. I got a picture of me, John Snyder, and Tom Wopat next to the General Lee.
Nice.
Right on.
And then I have a picture of my dad with Boss Hogg in the full outfit with Sorrel Brooks. But I met, all of them. and over time, they would travel all around, and they had this thing where they'd go around, and in the early '80s.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having a Catherine Bach, picture. That'd be all right. I don't care how old she is. She's always Daisy Duke to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, while we're on the subject, since we're talking about cussing and cars, and now we're on the Dukes of Hazzard part of this, the movie.
Which one?
What's your feelings on the movie? The one with
Johnny Knoxville.
Johnny Knoxville.
Because they did make a movie with the original cast too.
They did.
I mean, like a full-length feature.
We're talking John. I didn't enjoy. I did enjoy it, but I didn't. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't Dukes of Hazzard.
Right. So, of course, if you talk to, if you listen to Snyder and Cooter or all those guys, they of course did not condone it at all because it's not wholesome. It's not family.
Yeah.
Is it exactly what I expect out of Broken Lizard? Yes. That's exactly what I expect out of that group.
Yeah.
I don't personally care that they took that theme and ran with it. I don't care. I guess if Dukes of Hazzard had tried to air in 2020, that's what they would have to do to get watched. But it's not at all what I grew up with. It was safe for me to watch as a 4, 5, 6-year-old kid, where that one, the new one, absolutely is not safe for even, I would say, my 13-year-old kid. So
depends on the version. If you get the uncut,
I have the unrated version.
There's a lot of crap on there.
Yeah, I have the unrated version.
But I would have to
that
say,
being said, I did watch it. I did enjoy it for what it was, but it was never, in my mind, it could never be Dukes of Hazzard.
No. The only thing that I could say about that movie is I enjoyed it because it's got car in it. It's got General Lee in it. It's plus I like Johnny Knoxville. So it's like
phenomenal. You cannot deny the driving was phenomenal.
Well, that's what I was going to get at is the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest car chase I have ever watched is that one. The driving on it was phenomenal. So now,
I don't want to bash the good old driving car movies of before, Two-Lane Blacktop.
Right.
Steve McQueen, you can't.
Point, all that shit.
Yeah, you can't crap on those cars. But for a today movie,
they did well.
You can't look at Fast and Furious and go, oh, that was some driving. No, that was some driving in that movie. Because, the roundabout in Atlanta, the driving, the back roads, a Hazzard, all that was involved, the jumps, those were legit jumps.
Those weren't CGI.
Destroyed cars with those.
Yeah, they destroyed it.
They legit had a good, if they would have spent more time on the car chases, it would have been a much better movie.
Oh, yes. Up until that point, I think Ronin was probably one of the more modern ones that actually had a decent car chase in it.
Yes, Bullet was better. That's what I was getting at.
I just know that
it was amazing.
If you watch the behind the scenes of those car jumps, where that shows that
they launch it,
landed right behind there. That was a complete accident.
Yeah,
and it was perfect from behind that car. And then if you watch the after, it goes like this over and smash
barrier,
and that's when I went, oh. Don't do it. Those cars are already trashed anyway. They basically just had a frame set up underneath a shell is what they were.
Didn't they put them on a catapult and launch it?
Yeah, air catapults.
Yeah.
They used air pressure.
Which I'm telling you, as a kid, all I ever wanted to do was jump a car until I jumped a car. Then I didn't want to jump a car anymore.
Then you don't ever want to jump a car again. Yep.
No, because your back is still going, God damn.
That's probably why I got a bad back, actually.
It was fun the first time I caught air and came back down and survived. And I had this is going way back. I had an Eagle Vision TSI. And I don't know if you guys know what that is.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Dodge Intrepid, but the Eagle brand.
Yep.
And I used to take it on the back roads. So you couldn't go too crazy, but let's say 55, 60 on these gravel roads, and then, the old fashioned concrete culvert and then gravel on each side leading up to it. You get a nice launch, and then bam, you eat gravel for about quarter mile when you come back down. No wonder that car lost its transmission twice.
Yeah.
I don't know how my box body lasted as long as it did when I was a kid. I would literally be out driving around with my friends or my, whoever I had with me, and they'd be like, "Oh, look at that over there, man. It's too bad we don't have," because I had a Jeep at the same time. "Look at that mud and that slough in that bottom. There's no field or nothing." He's like, "Wish we had your Jeep. We go play around." But just drop a gear and go out in it, and I'd sit and be doing donuts in the mud in this Mustang, and it'd start to get stuck, and I'd start rocking it, and we'd finally get out, and we'd head straight to the car wash and piss off everybody that owned car washes.
Yep.
You know?
And you know what?
I might have done that the other morning. I don't know.
There's another famous fella that he's got a few of them. Just get it together and drive it is one of his other ones. But he's also the one that says you'll never have more fun than an old muscle car in the dirt.
Yeah.
Right? And that's Freiberger, and he's right. Like
he's right.
To have a blast.
And that's why he took the General Mayhem back to what it was, because if you we all know what it became, but there was the absolute joy of watching them drive the General Mayhem in the dirt.
In the dirt fish when they
and then they had to turn around and make it a drag car with the was a Hellcat engine or whatever, and
that's where I started losing it.
But then they sent it out to I just forgot his name.
Guy that restored it.
Chris.
What's that?
Chris?
Is it Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have him. I'm friends with him on Facebook.
Yeah.
Anyway, he rebuilt the whole car back to what it should have been.
Yeah, it's Chris Bird.
Yeah, Birdsong. That's it.
Birdsong, yeah.
Oh, I forgot his name for a second. I'm like, how do I'm actual friends with him on Facebook. Like I'm not a follower. But I forgot his name all of a sudden. I'm like, oh, I feel horrible.
So let's talk about this for a minute, Buff. How do you get these guys on your show?
I ask. I'm just being honest.
That's simple. You just ask.
It isn't that simple. If you guys knew what I was trying to do to get oh wait, hold on. I blanked. Hold on. So Freiberger was not Freiberger. I'm sorry. Finnegan was. He floored me. Like, he immediately responded. You know how many emails he gets a day? He immediately responded like we were best friends. And part of it was how I built the email that I sent him. It was like, hey, I met you back in 2020, and this is where I met you. This is the city. This is the place. It's not like there was thousands of people in line to meet you. So I'm sure you remember me. I was the guy with the Finnegan hat. And, I did that kind of stuff. And then I talked about our show and what we do, that we just had Steve Maggs on, and we were looking for somebody for our Christmas show. And, oh, by the way, I know you remember me because you shook my hand, and we have trivia. And, oh, by the way, did I mention we have trivia? And I just kind of left it like that. Immediate response, and he says, I'm doing it, tell me when. So then we did the back and forth, and we settled on it, and then his wife planned a family event the same night, and he goes, dude, I'm really sorry. And I said, well, you can't tell her no. And he goes, no, you're awesome, I appreciate it, tell me the next time I can be on. I'm like, the next weekend or the next Thursday. And he goes, I'm down. And I was like, okay. So, and that's the other thing is when they have stuff pop up, you just have to be flexible.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's going to happen. I've almost lost Kevin over that. Like, he said, hey, Mook's not going to make it. I can still be there, but I'm in the shop. And I'm like, cool. Can't wait.
Yeah.
And he was there.
Well, it's funny because
I try not to steal anybody's number. Like, I did just fill my phone with numbers.
Yeah. But even Terry, he said in there, hey, why haven't you called me yet? I was like, that's going to be a pretty good compliment to you that these guys actually want to be on the Power Hour.
I had actually reached out to a few people, and Terry was one that I had sent an email to. And what had happened was, yeah, he had the email, right? But it didn't register. He watched the show, and then he went back and found the email and said, "Hey, I've watched your show. I want to be on your show." And I went, "Well, you have a Pontiac, so you're now eligible for the show." I mean, I don't really care. But we have a topic, right?
Yeah.
And anyway,
I was going to say,
He
if
did
that's the
actually
criteria, I haven't
solicit.
been on yet.
he did actually solicit to be on the show, but I reached out to him first. It just took a little bit for him to respond, but great dude, awesome guy.
Thanks, Carl. Have you had Irish on?
I tried one time. I'm trying to get this guy right there.
Who's
Can
that?
you read it?
Hold on.
How about now?
Arnie? Is that the farmer?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But
Yeah,
the
that'd be
problem is he's
He's
like 112 years old.
Yeah, he's pretty old
and
now.
He needs a handler. So I'm working some stuff. If the handler can make it happen, I'm trying to get him. And in all honesty, if I get him, and it's an absolute crapshoot if I get him. But if I do, I think people need to realize it might be his last ever interview.
Have you ever met him?
No.
I have.
I want to.
Yeah. I met him at the Pontiac Nationals a few years ago. He happened to be out there, and my buddy actually bought a piston out of one of his race cars.
I mean, the chance to meet him is quickly going away.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And since
Pontiac legend, man.
He lost his wife, so I mean,
I know what you're saying. It usually, especially when they're together that long.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's not had an easy life.
No.
But it's guys like that. So I'm not just trying to get the obvious ones like the Finnegans and all that. I have reached out to Freiberger. I doubt I'll ever get him, but he doesn't really have a lot of Pontiac to talk about. Same with Dulcich. I'm sure I could get Dulcich a lot easier.
He's got a Pontiac.
Has the wagon.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking I could get them, but it's one of those where I'm at the point where I'm getting people asking to be on the show, and that's a very unique spot to be in versus asking. Like I've asked Jay Leno, and I got a call back from his people, and it was right after he got burned, so it wasn't exactly the time that they were going to schedule anything. But who knows? I'm not saying it'll happen, but I won't say it won't.
Right? Yeah, he'd be cool
to be on the show.
Leno,
I will talk to Jay Leno.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, he'd be a great guy to talk to, honestly. Like he's just a car guy through and through, and he just always seemed very pleasant, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Have you guys watched the show of the two brothers that built the new Pontiac out of Camaros?
Yes.
So they have the Discovery Channel show.
Well, they got two parts to the business. They've got the new line, and then they got the restoring line of the older cars.
So I have both of their actual cell phone numbers.
Oh, right on. They'd be a good one.
When they were wanting to be on, they were at SEMA, so they couldn't. And since then, they got such a huge reception to the Chevelle that they built that they're still responding, but less and less. So I really, really have to kind of hound them. But, those are two that I definitely wanted at least one of them on. I thought those would be good guys. Trying to think of who else I've asked. Lot of, I think I'm trying to keep it very Pontiac centric, people that would actually, like you said, the farmer, the guy. That's one I would love to get, just to say he's been on the show.
I wouldn't say I know him. I met him, but
you know who he is. If I
know who he is. Yeah.
And that's so I'm sure you guys, because you're somewhat close to my age, watch Knight Rider, right?
Oh, of course.
So there's a couple of guys that own 2 original Knight Rider cars. They actually have their own channel on YouTube, Knight Rider Historians.
I've watched some of those, yeah.
So they're ones that I've been in contact with. And I don't know if anybody wants to sit and talk for, an hour about Knight Rider cars, but these guys know every detail of every show.
I got a story about the Knight Rider cars. See, when I was younger and watching the reruns, it was, you had that, okay, it wasn't the reruns, it was the actual airing. And I think it happened to be the one where you got to find out what happened to Kit after Goliath.
Oh, yeah.
It was like the season premiere, right?
Right.
And then my parents are, we're going out. I'm like, no, we can't go out. This is Knight Rider night, right?
Yeah, no, we got to watch.
I was freaking out. I was upset. I was crying. I was mad. And they dragged me out the door, kicking and screaming. And you know where they took me? World of Wheels. Guess what was there?
Oh, Knight Rider. I've sat in the kit that was at Universal Studios.
Yeah. And you got to sit in it at the show too. And so I got to sit in the actual car that was going on.
So it's okay that you missed season 2, episode 2.
Oh, you talk about actually making a kid feel like crap, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You missed what happened.
Yeah, after you throw a hissy fit.
Watch it on syndication rerun.
Here's the surprise. Surprise, there's Kit. I'm like, oh crap.
It's definitely the Goliath was the one I think that most everybody remembers. And obviously
Goliath for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's funny is it really wasn't, you think about how many seasons they were on. Goliath was just the most.
It's 2 episodes
prominent.
it was on. 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah.
That was
it. Exactly. And my big thing is I was like, Car was awesome.
Yeah, Car was awesome. I like how evil Car was.
Yeah, Car was he was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna destroy some stuff. Let me help you.
I remember when Kit went in the toxic swamp. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. Shaking his head.
Well, it makes me feel like super old. I watched all that, the first runs, everybody's like, oh, look at this, That's like Zeppelin. I gave him he watches Dukes of Hazzard. I gave him all the DVDs that I had,
Yeah,
he's like, this is such a good show. And I was like, yeah, it was back in 1978 too.
Like, you know how badly all I wanted as a kid was to drive up behind a semi truck and drive inside of it.
Yeah.
And so when video games were, really the arcade style were getting big, my little town of, not even 1,000 people. Yes. Spy Hunter was the coolest game. I dropped so many quarters into Spy Hunter because not only was Spy Hunter the full thing that you got into and had the steering wheel and everything, but you drove up into a semi, and I went, this is the coolest game ever.
That was just a lucky guess, by the way. I don't actually know anything about that game. I'm too young for that.
Yeah.
Right.
So it to me was just getting to live that, through the arcade. And then Mythbusters actually tested to see if it works. And it does work.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And
Excite Bike was the other one that you played along with Spy Hunter. Pole position.
Paperboy.
Yeah,
Paperboy. But the biggest quarter eater. What was the biggest quarter eater?
Oh, NBA Jam.
Gauntlet, I think was.
Oh God. I forgot all about that one.
So I will
admit,
I'm a pinball
and Dragons.
So if you put other than Spy Hunter and maybe a few others, if you put
14 Tomcat,
if you put a bunch of arcade games out and give me unlimited quarters, but then there's pinball, I'm going to play pinball.
Yeah, F-14 Tomcat. That was one of the best pinball games back in the day.
Oh, mine would have to
Outrun was good.
My local laundromat has a WWE pinball machine, legit, pinball machine, and it's in great shape. How it has survived at this laundromat, I don't know. And I will occasionally just go use their laundromat, even though I have my own working washer and dryer, just used to go play pinball. And I'll take my kids and be like, all right, time for you guys to learn real arcade game here.
Yeah.
When Top Gun and Iron Eagle were real big, Iron Eagle was kind of the cheap version of Top Gun, which is actually still good set of movies.
Yep.
They had a game out called Afterburner.
Yeah.
Where you were in an F-14 or an F-16, I can't remember. And you could do barrel rolls and hit the damn thing. I was like, this is the greatest game ever. And they had it in our local Knights of Columbus. And my dad would be like, God damn, another $2? Because back then it was a quarter.
Yeah.
But you'd always die within 15 seconds. And then you'd have to keep putting quarters in it.
They had different levels of that game because I think they had like the standing machine.
Yeah.
Then they had the stationary sitting one. And then I think they actually had one that had motion to it too.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's a big deal back then.
That was big back then. The other thing that was Midway 1942 or whatever was that was the one where you were the bomber and you had to bomb all the battleships and stuff. That was, and you could get level ups and stuff like that. I mean, there were so many classic games back then that was it was just awesome.
The first gaming system that I ever played
is I know what that car is.
Derek posted it.
I know whose shop that is.
Yeah, he posted it an hour ago.
The first gaming system that I ever played was Pong.
Same
here.
Brand new.
You remember
right out of the box
game that had the little tanks thing? Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
One? Yep.
The ColecoVision?
No, it was Atari. It was this little. Yeah, so I played Pong first, but then we got the upgraded controller, and it was a little tank game, and you would go on, and then you'd hit the button, or actually the button was.
Oh yeah. I had a 2600. I had
same here. I still got one.
Pac-Man, and my sister would be playing, and she tried to go with. We had this game called. It was what was it? It's not ColecoVision. It was something Activision. Activision Baseball.
Activision is where Excitebike came from.
Yeah. My dad broke 5 controllers playing baseball. It's just goddamn controller. I'd whoop his butt. I'm 6 years old. I'm 70 age, and my dad is cursing, cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and he chucks the damn Atari controller against this brick wall we had around our porch, and he'd smack it and it'd shatter, and I'd be bawling, and my mom would come out, run out, screaming, "John, get your ass to freaking!" And this time it was Murphy's was the name of the store that carried the controllers. And my dad went in, and this is how long ago it was. You're talking Atari controller back then, just the black one with the little red button on it. It was like $5. My dad wasn't having it, so he bought this cheap plastic black with a yellow big button on it. I was so mad. I come back, and he started playing. We started playing the game. 5 minutes into the game, he broke that one too. I'm going. You get in there, you buy it. And finally, they didn't have any more of the cheapies left. They were like $2.
Yeah.
And he bought one of the good ones, and then he wouldn't play with me the rest of that week because it cost $10 to get his ass whooped by a 6-year-old playing baseball.
That's funny, man. My mom used to just push me off my chair when she lost. It was dodging that we used to play. And then my buddy had a drawer full of those controllers. And my buddy with Tourette's. We didn't know it at the time. But he'd reach he'd be playing, and then he'd effing cheating microchips, and he'd flip the controller and wing it at the wall and smash it. And if it survived, he'd use it again. But if it didn't survive, he'd open up his drawer, pull out the next controller, and start.
That goes right around with that Gen X crap, though, that everybody makes a big joke about it. But my dad was like, just go play on the highway, just whatever.
Dude, we rode our bikes all over town. We were on the roads everywhere.
Home, ever.
Never. No.
Never. And
Well, okay, we were home to play video games and watch Knight Rider.
Yeah.
I'm saying outside of, priority time, which is, Dukes of Hazzard, Fall Guy, Knight Rider,
Transformers, G.I. Joe.
Transformers.
$1 Million Man.
Yeah.
Oh, majors.
Yeah.
Wonder
Oh,
Woman.
yeah, because he's Fall Guy and $6 Million Man.
Wonder Woman.
Oh,
Even
God,
as a kid.
DJ McKay.
But it felt
Werewolf.
like if the sun rose that day, your mom is like,
you're out.
Get out.
outside.
Just
Yeah.
get out.
Until the streetlights came on, you were gone.
Hell, my town barely had streetlights.
Yep.
Like it was that small of a town.
Well, the town I grew up in, the airport was, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles out of town or something like that. It seemed a long ways on your bike, I'll tell you that much. So we'd be riding our bikes down the dang highway, going out to the airport and going out to the dump. And then we'd be up in the other end of town at the BMX track. Rad, that was another movie back in the day.
Yep.
You remember Rad?
Yep.
All the BMX stuff.
Yeah, we did the chat piles, the old road crew chat piles. And then, of course, the train was only 2 blocks from my house. So we may or may not have spent a lot of time underneath the trestle there. And
Yeah.
put a lot of pennies on the track and waited for the train. And,
to derail. Yeah. That was
it's going to derail the train.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I was thinking,
You got a lot of flat pennies.
Cool.
I remember a friend of mine getting a piece of rebar and laying it across the tracks, and he goes, "You wait, it's just gonna derail the whole train. It's just gonna be everywhere. Just watch." Because he laid that rebar across there, and of course we come back and ain't no rebar. It's gone. It probably just threw it in the ditch somewhere. But train didn't derail.
No. Takes quite a bit to derail a train.
Right.
Yeah.
But as kids, you think a penny's going to derail a train. You don't know.
Yeah.
Sounds like
BJ and the Bear. Yeah, that was a good one.
we had a family owned.
No longer Cars and Cussin. This is relive our childhood.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm good with that.
Well,
I am too.
We had this little baseball field. This family owned what was like a park right down the road from my house. And it wasn't necessarily a park in the hometown. They owned the property and they just had park. Well, when I say park equipment, it was metal swings, chains, monkey bars that could break every bone in your body as you're
metal slide with no rails.
Metal slide
with the hump on it, so you make sure you got a good jump when you flew off of it.
Yeah. And they had a little baseball set up where they just had a fence with like 3 electric poles, light poles. And we'd sit there and play, but the rule was we couldn't play with real baseball or softball or anything like that. So we started using tennis balls with aluminum bats.
Oh, geez.
And we would just start slamming these tennis balls. You wouldn't believe the curve a kid could get out of a tennis ball.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just like, that was our thing. It was all of us boys and girls in this neighborhood, but all on the south side of the tracks would all congregate until we started getting bigger and we was hitting the tennis balls, like would clear Busch Stadium and going through their window.
Yeah.
Like going through a window, it's like, nope, that's it, you're done.
Yeah.
Go to wiffle balls or something. Yeah.
Half-wit made it in.
Yeah. Yep. I remember skateboards were just being a big thing when I was younger, and I lived in a town that got a lot of wind, and we pretty much.
I'm like directly south from you,
Yeah, and we what we would do is we figured out real quick if on the windy days you open up your jacket and boy could you get moving on that sucker,
right? My big issue from our town was they had the I guess it was the gravel. They put down the oil and then gravel, and then they'd hit it with the roller.
Yeah,
that wasn't great for skateboarding.
You just stop.
We had the typical, bad sidewalks from early 1900s that still existed. So you could get some sweet jumps off of it every once in a while, but then you hit the little crack full of grass and go, oh,
yeah.
So I would, of course, walk my skateboard 3 blocks to the downtown and then get harassed by the cop for skateboarding all over the downtown. But it was the only good concrete we had.
I'm trying to think of the skateboard I had. I think the one that I had when I was young was a Veriflex Flyer. I think Veriflex Flyer.
I bought whatever Walmart had is what I ended up with.
Yeah, that was something they sold. I had the skinnier one, not the the old school. We did have those.
Yeah.
But
mine was a little wider.
yeah, it was like this big. It was yellow, and then they had the real fancy ones that had all the late '80s, '90s freaking neon purple and pink, and had all had the it had to have the skid thing on the back of it. The big,
Yeah.
I mean.
Because
Nowadays they got these
Marty
big
McFly,
shit.
That's actually I was trying to skateboard before that show came out, but once that movie came out and Marty McFly does the whole sliding, everywhere I went on that skateboard, no matter what, I would roll up to the post office or roll up to the grocery store, and right before I stop, skid it sideways, and everybody's looking, and I'm like, yeah, I'm awesome. I know.
And you had to flip it up to your hands to pick it up.
You got to kick it. So
now, if I try to get on a
hit my damn
skateboard,
knuckles.
I would break my neck.
Oh,
I see these kids on the hoverboard things, and I'm going, nah. I could definitely do a skateboard better than a hoverboard, but I sure the heck am not getting on a hoverboard.
This on those hoverboard did not go well. It was and then you just gotta think and go forward, Dad. Oh, okay. I'll think I'm going forward, and I'm going back and I hit my head on the wall.
Halfwit, we need to put the link up because Halfwit has been in the garage painting parts. He's hallucinating, so now he's coming into here. Got to get some of that.
Yeah, you guys had Walmart back then because we didn't have them up here.
Oh yeah.
Well, we had TG&Y first.
We had the Sears catalog, and remember the Sears catalog?
Oh, what are we getting into now?
Seriously though, we did eventually get a Walmart, but we had TG&Y first.
Yeah, we had Sears, Kmart. Kmart was the big one. What else did we have? The Sand Store, I think it was called. Sellers was another. Yeah.
Like, this is what I remember growing up.
Wow.
Why?
We never had that.
Maybe as I'm guessing it's a Midwest thing. I don't know. But it, to me, was every bit as big as Walmart.
Yeah. But yeah, the biggest store that had everything was the Sears. That was the one you went to if you wanted anything, really. And Zellers. Those were the two big ones. Oh, that's wild.
We ended up with a Sears, but that was like, we got it, and then they're like, oh, yeah, we're closing everything.
Oh, really?
Like, we've had it, and they sold lawnmowers and a few appliances and some tools, but it was small.
Well, when I think about it, we did not have a lot of chain stores back then.
We really didn't.
No, it was all mom and pop shops, and
our grocery store was a local grocery store until it finally became an IGA, but it was a local grocery store, and then still technically IGA is local, but then we had the TG&Y that was in the center of town, and then Walmart was clear out, way out of town, and people would go to TG&Y because that was the Dollar General of the day.
Yeah.
First going all the way out to Walmart.
We had dime stores.
Right. That's basically what TG&Y was. It was a commercialized version, or a consumer version.
We had Kmart, and then all local stuff. I mean, they were chain stores like coast to coast.
Yeah. What about the Columbia Record House?
Oh,
jeez.
How many times so the real question is, did you actually ever get free stuff?
No. You got
I
stuff
don't
for a
think
buck.
I ever got free stuff.
Yeah. Okay, here's one for you guys. What's the first movie you seen in the theater?
Oh,
So I know
in
my
the theater or drive-in?
that's
I said theater. We'll
Oh.
come to the drive-in.
That's an easy one.
Which one?
Well, the first one in a old school theater was
Yep.
this theater called the Hart Theater. It's still here. There's actually somebody just bought it. They want to restore it. And that would have been, it was one or two. It was either E.T.
Mm-hmm.
or Ghostbusters.
E.T. was my second movie. Buff?
But I don't think
I'm
I've seen
trying
it.
to remember
No.
the first one in a theater.
It was a Disney movie.
I'm sure it was for me, but the one I remember,
Lady and the Tramp, maybe?
the first theater movie I remember, and I know this is not the first one, it's just the one I remember,
Yeah, that's fine.
was Transformers the movie.
Oh, really? Wow.
And Starscream
Whoa.
cusses on that movie.
Ow, my foot!
And my mother and father were going to yank us out of there. And I'm like, it's almost over. Let's just finish watching it.
Yeah.
But, and then did we do drive-in? Because I know the first one I ever watched in a drive-in.
Mine was, I'll answer, and then we'll go with the drive-in.
My parents
Superman.
didn't go to the regular. What'd you say?
Superman.
Oh, I love Superman.
Oh.
That was my first one, and I remember it very well because my dad took me to, and it had the upper balcony, in the old style upper balcony, and I got to watch Superman, and I was just like
that would have been awesome
the whole time, right?
Yeah.
And that was just floored me, just blew me away. And I think one of the first ones I seen in the drive-in that I recall was Michael Keaton in Gung Ho or something like that.
Yeah, Gung Ho. That was great. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Gung Ho.
Yeah.
Mine in a drive-in, my sister had a Scout.
Oh,
and
cool.
She was with her boyfriend, who's her husband now. It was I was probably 4, so that would have been 78 or 9, probably 79. They went to this movie. They were supposed to be babysitting me, and I loved the back of the Scout, like all the way in the back. Top was on it, but I was all the way in the back, and they decided, oh, Jay's just going to go sleep in the back. We'll sit up here and watch this movie and do whatever teenagers are going to do. They're lots older than me. So I was sitting there, and I heard this commotion, and I heard the scream through the little speaker. Still had the speaker that, you put on your window. And I was like, what's that? I got scared, and I looked up. It was the original Halloween.
No.
Oh, no.
I was like 4 or 5 years old. And back then, movies didn't just show up in every area like they do now. It took a while for them to get over, and that was a B movie. That wasn't, like a major production.
Jamie
and I remember my sister saying, why did you bring me to this? This is disgusting. Because she was scared to death. My sisters would check under the bed, the closet, before they went to bed. They're scared to death all the time.
Yeah.
But that was the first movie I ever saw in a drive-in. The second movie I ever seen was Smokey and the Bandit.
Nice.
Because it came out about the same time. And it took a while for it to make it all the way to us here. But, yeah.
The first 2 scary movies I remember, do you remember the Laserdisc? Like the big record?
Oh, yeah.
So the first 2 movies that I remember, of course, you're a little mischievous as a kid. Your parents are up watching these movies. They think you've gone to bed and you want to know what's going on. So you go peek your head out. So what are they watching? They're watching The Howling.
Oh, Howling. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I didn't like horror movies for a very long time after that. And the best part is my mom was watching it with her friend was over. She's watching it with, and they're watching. They're kind of, they're scared. All the lights are off. They got the mood set, and we had the house, and there was a tree beside the house, and all of a sudden the tree, it would start the wind blowing, and it would scraping up against the sliding door and just clawing at the door. So they freak out. They start screaming, and they're running. Now you're the kid that's not supposed to be anywhere, and they're freaking out, and you're like, "Wah!" You're running, right? And then I think the second one I remember is American Werewolf in London.
Yes, I remember that.
And I remember after those, I could, like, the Freddy Kruegers, everything. I was kind of like, no. It took me a long time before I could watch scary movies.
I was never really scared of scary movies. Like, I took the Friday the 13th movies as hilarious.
Oh, they are when you watch them, yeah.
And like even the Freddy movies were funny to me. They didn't bother me. The one that scared me the most, really the one that I can remember as a kid, there was two. One was what's the one with Here's Johnny?
The Shining.
The Shining kind of freaked me out when he was limping with the axe across the frickin' you like see a shadow coming up. And then there was this movie called Murder on the Orient Express.
Yes.
That villain had a red laser eye.
Yep.
And for some reason, that freaked me the hell out.
Yeah.
I could watch anything. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I was like, look at his face. It didn't bother me because I knew the difference. But those other two, Shining and Murder on the Orient Express, they seemed real. Like that could really be happening. And Shining, of course, we all know was based on possible true stories.
Or what about Psycho? You know how many people wouldn't get in the shower after that?
You know which one scared me? Cujo. As a kid.
Cujo.
Yeah.
That
scared the crap out of me.
That scared. Yeah, that was free as a kid.
And my ex has a Saint Bernard, so it's like.
Yeah.
That yellow Pinto. I remember the yellow Pinto.
Yep.
And the dog trying to get them out of the car and rolling the windows up and the teeth everywhere. Oh man, that was horrifying.
There was a lot of those movies people don't remember. Like I like Cat's Eye with Drew Barrymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
With the little gnome-looking damn thing that would go and like suck the air out of your lungs.
You remember that? Yeah.
It would sit on your chest and while you were sleeping. That's right. I remember that.
Look it up, people. If you're in the chat and you haven't watched it, look it up. Drew Barrymore.
Cat's Eye, yeah.
It's a really good movie. And then there was Critters.
Firestarter.
Ghoulies.
Don't forget Firestarter.
Oh yeah, Firestarter. But
Carrie.
Critters is hilarious. Ghoulies is funny.
Goonies was awesome.
You said Critters. What about was it Chud?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know what?
We're getting really bad here.
These are getting deep.
Did you ever watch Monster Squad?
Oh yeah,
that was awesome. I love
the original Swamp Thing. I say original, our era Swamp Thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas he puts his arm in the window and it grows.
I didn't get to mention my first drive-in. Technically, we were all in a CJ7. Myself and my two sisters were in the back, and we were supposed to be sleeping.
Yep.
So I'm doing one of these. And this is the movie that's on.
Oh, yeah.
The part I remember is the part you would think I would remember is that lady yanking.
Yeah.
That's what I remember is people behind that CJ7. What in the world? And she's just yanking on that. And I'm going, as a child, that scars you.
Yes, it does.
Well, the part that movie, they're all sitting in there and then Tommy, I need you to bring that boy in here and had a mole on it. Oh, wait a minute. So they're all like leaning back and that coach is just trying not to laugh. And that principal is, he's like holding his mouth. He's trying not to laugh. I was like, oh yeah, that's, I remember those movies. That and Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh.
Yeah. I love that one.
Yeah, it was great.
Shopcat says he freaked out with the Blair Witch. So, yeah, I did too for a minute. And I hate to admit that because now you watch it, it's just stupid, right?
It's dumb, yeah.
Well, if you want to get into newer movies that'll freak you out.
I know what you're going to say. Go ahead and say it, but I know what you're going to say.
Well, I like the Conjuring movies because they're kind of
they're based on real. Yeah.
For me, it was Event Horizon.
Event Horizon is kind of creepy, but it was the one. Now I can't remember it. It's the one with the Oogie Boogie. It's the he was the boogeyman, and he would go around. It was all on video, and the guy was trying to catch who. Oh, God dang it! What was the name of that movie?
That wasn't the Candyman or something, was it?
No, I can't think of what it's called. I'm just too tired because I love the movie. They made a second one.
All right. Wow. Do you guys remember Police Academy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Bobcat Goldthwait, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You want a movie that'll actually kind of scare you the first time around, but then will make you laugh the second time around? Willow Creek.
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't watched it, it's worth the watch. It was a movie that it's very similar to Blair Witch in the way that it's kind of, these guys are filming themselves on this little vacation thing. But gosh, it's so well done. It is just, it's phenomenally
what the local campground is called in my hometown.
Willow Creek. Willow Creek? Did anybody go missing in Willow Creek?
There was a lot of people that didn't want to go after that movie came out.
I got one for you that probably should have never watched as a child. It is a horrible movie, terrible for a child to see. Toxic Avenger.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk late night TV.
Oh.
And remember all the movie specials that you'd watch as a kid, we'll say, maybe almost a teenager, young teenager. And one of the ones that they always put on was Flush Gordon. Or it's like, why is this on TV?
I can't remember the name of that movie because I love them. Not the Insidious movies. I like those too. They're freaky, but what the hell is the name of it?
I tried to watch Amityville Horror. Bud says Amity, or I tried to watch it as a kid, and it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me. Then it was scary. Then it didn't make sense to me. And it wasn't until later that I could watch it and it made sense. But not knowing as a kid it was based upon a real thing, nor would it really have mattered. It just, my kid brain just, it didn't make sense at all. Like the stuff that my kids watch now, I don't think I could have watched it as a kid. I think it was too stupid.
Yeah.
I just like cars jumping over stuff.
Exactly. That was the bulk of it. Like we had Blue Thunder, Airwolf, Dukes of Hazzard, Knight Rider. Do you remember Highwayman? It wasn't on very long, but that was
the Incredible Hulk. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Lou Ferrigno, no CGI.
Yeah. We had I don't know if you guys had The Littlest Hobo. It was a dog that went around and rescued people from okay, I think it was a Canadian show.
As a kid, nothing scared you more than those eyes on the Incredible Hulk, and then
Lou
Ferrigno would go roar.
Yeah,
you didn't realize that was a real dude.
And then we had proper Saturday morning cartoons. Like that was what you did Saturday morning before you went out and disappeared for the day.
Your cereal.
Yeah, you had you watched your Saturday morning cartoons, and then you were out the door.
Yep.
Well, I did this the other day. It's been about 2 months ago. I was at my sister's house just visiting for a second, which is rare. And I'm over there, and she started counting.
Beachcombers, yeah. Canadian stuff.
Started saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I was like, oh my God. What the hell was it? What was the name of that show? It was It was a Saturday morning thing, and we had that, and of course, all the awesome Thundercats.
Oh, Thundercats.
Yeah. Voltron.
Well, yeah, He-Man, proper
The only
He-Man.
thing that I couldn't
Proper
understand
He-Man.
how bad it was when
Not
I
the
was
Dolph Lundgren He-Man.
Yeah. Reptiles, man. No,
Yeah.
we had Voltron, and his the girl robot was Aphrodite A, and she shot missiles at her boobs.
Yeah, that's right.
What the hell? The movie I was thinking of was Sinister.
Sinister. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one kind of freaked me out.
I always, as we get older, Electric Company. I knew it, I just couldn't think of it. But so as we get older, for me anyway, I stop trying to chase after the things that I want to achieve, because I've kind of career-wise achieved all I want to achieve. I'm just having fun now.
Yeah, that's where I am.
And so I'm going back to things like we're talking about, going, what just really did it for me as a kid? Like, what was, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. And there's only a handful of things that I can really go back and say that was the thing. And one of them was finding out when you got home that night that they were playing, let's say, a Bugs Bunny special at night.
Yeah.
So you knew you were going to get to sit down and watch, like, there was one called, it was based on Fantasy Island. I think it was Fantastic Island or whatever. And it was an entire movie with Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, all these guys, but it's the Fantasy Island characters. And it was just the coolest feeling. I'm so excited I get to watch cartoons at night.
Now I'm having boss the plane
yes!
boss. I'm having flashbacks and Ricardo Montalban, and now I'm thinking of Wrath of Khan. Thank you for that.
Khan.
Yeah, he tests.
Good evening,
me.
Captain Stubby.
He tests me. And I was happy.
So Danny Boyd
Love Boat.
Shazam ISIS Hour.
The Love Boat.
Did you guys ever watch Shazam ISIS Hour?
It rings a bell, but I don't remember it.
Shazam!
Yeah.
Because now they have the movie Shazam.
Shazam, yeah.
I grew up with the Shazam ISIS Hour, and that was a really cool show.
Dan, how could you have hated Sesame Street? They had a ridiculous pigeon and a stoned mammoth.
I did not like Sesame Street either, so I'm with him.
I just like the mana do 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 do. And
there's certain things I like.
Nope.
And yes, Shop Cat, I do remember the log rollers waltz. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Okay, here's your test. Superhero TV show at night, around the same era of all the other ones we're talking about. In the opening, he's lifting a VW bug.
Oh,
you guys know who that is?
I was gonna say, is this a guy that fell out the window every time he tried to fly?
Yep.
I can't think of it. I know what you're talking about.
The greatest what? Come on, you can do it.
Our greatest American hero.
There you go.
And who played him? Do you remember who played him?
Oh,
No,
I can picture his face clear as day.
70s, blonde, long,
yeah.
Blonde hair.
William Catt.
Okay.
Yep, Thumper knows. Greatest American. Yeah, I watched every episode, and what's crazy is when I grew up, it was, I mean, I switched to Superman later because I live in Kansas, so I got to have Superman. But I loved Greatest American Hero. In fact, I got a T-shirt in my closet over here.
That's nice that you switched to the Canadian creation.
Yeah. So, but the point is, I actually watched every episode through as an adult and realized they just cut it off without a conclusion.
Yeah, they totally did.
They did that to my favorite show as a kid.
Which was?
All our
Alf.
Alf. Oh, man.
Hey, Willie.
Remember they caught him?
Yeah.
They caught him, and then they canceled the show, and they were supposed to they had this whole thing where they were going to try to get him out and all this, and they just canceled the damn show. It was a #1 show on TV, and they just canceled it out.
You know what?
I laughed so hard at that show. Me and my dad did.
I always liked it when he's trying to eat the cat. You're lucky, 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 lucky. You know. Yeah. But
5 more minutes, Lucky, and I'm going to be on you like a buzzard on a gut wagon.
Yeah. There's a Shop Cat reminded me of another one, and I remember a show called Mammal. I can never say it. Manimal.
Oh
Manimal.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I do remember Mork and Mindy too, by the way.
Oh, Mork and Mindy, yeah.
Nanu.
No. And I also remember Moonlighting. Bruce Willis.
I watched my mom and dad, or my mom did. She watched Moonlighting.
Yeah.
And I remember everybody was so upset over a love scene on Moonlighting, and they had to reveal to everybody that what's her face wouldn't do a love scene with him. So they, laying in a bed. So they put the bed against a wall, and they were actually standing like they were in the bed.
Yeah.
Victoria, well, not Victoria Prince. What the hell was her name? The blonde.
Oh yeah. Is Victoria? Wasn't it Victoria?
No, it's not Victoria. It's something else.
Anyways, back when Bruce Willis had hair, which wasn't for long.
It wasn't very long. There was that prime period between this day
Sybil
and
Sybil Shepherd. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
God, I watched Knots Landing, Dallas. Dynasty.
Who Shot JR?
Who Shot JR? Yeah. Oh, there were a lot of course, Magnum PI, MacGyver, Murder She Wrote.
That Magnum PI's car too.
Yeah.
308 Ferrari.
Yep.
Hardcastle and McCormick.
Oh.
Coyote.
Coyote. They acted like it was so fast. It was a freaking 1600 VW with a kit car frame.
Yeah. Oh, there's good shows back then, man. At least I remember as being good.
They were good. They were real. It was more like real life. A lot of them were.
If you notice, I don't know how much people really pay attention to every one of my videos. But,
All Guy, Simon and Simon. Yeah, there's some good ones.
But I think it's this last one. So pretty much if it has anything to do with the all-wheel drive Trans Am, when the Buffalo logo comes across, there's a familiar song that plays behind it that's not normally in that logo. And it's from the Stephen J. Cannell. He used to be typing at the typewriter, and then it would come up and there'd be a giant C. Yeah. So that's his sound bite that I put behind it. So every time I do anything with the all-wheel drive Trans Am, I'm going to try to include that, because for those of us that are older, we might remember it.
Okay. Star Trek, one of a Star Trek character that got famous from Night Court, or a Star Trek actor. See if you can get this one. It's a Next Generation actor.
Oh.
I don't remember.
It's not the defense guy, was it?
Nope.
I can't think of his name right now.
It's Brent Spiner, Data.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, Thumper got it.
Oh, wow.
He used to play the hillbilly, and he was always in the court. And the famous scene was when they tried to start a chicken farm, but the whole thing, and then they blew up all the chickens. That's why they were in there. And then they talked about the worm farm, and he's it was the worst thing ever. It's like all the spaghetti you ever ate coming at you. He just played this complete moron. It's great. Like just the characters they had back there. It was awesome. But one of my favorite TV moments was actually Third Rock from the Sun.
That was a funny show.
That was a great show.
Way later, but yeah.
Yeah. And it's when he learned about tipping. You remember that?
I used to watch that show.
He explained to the waiter, like he took her out for dinner, and he explained to the waiter, every time you please me, I'm going to put $1 on the table. Every time you displease me, I'm going to take one away. And I to this day, I think that is how tipping should be done.
So they got it right.
Oh yeah. because the guy comes up and he's like, "Oh, and she asks for a bottle of certain wine." He's like, "I'm sorry, we don't have that." And he's starts to, but can I recommend this for you, sir? Oh, starts putting the money down.
Oh, don't even start with Marky Post there, 38. She was just all that.
Yeah.
But WKRP in Cincinnati, I mean, that was a whole different level.
Well,
like
even Christy Alley back then, right? Christy Alley was pretty smoking back then.
I'm just thinking Lonnie Anderson, you know.
Yeah, Lonnie Anderson, yeah. Oh, that was a classic. Mr. Roper at the door.
There was another show me and my mom watched, and I think it was based out of Alaska.
Oh yeah,
yes.
The doctor guy that was up in
Alaska.
Yes.
What was his name?
And the lady pilot.
Northern Outdoors. No,
Northern Exposure.
Northern Exposure. That's
that was another one we watched.
Oh, Thumper got it too. God,
yeah,
he's
Thumper
so
knows
good.
all this stuff.
Oh, I watched Quincy. Quincy was a good one.
Oh, and I suppose you watched Dr. Quinn too, eh?
Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
No, because if we'd wanted a couple wussies, we'd got to call them Dr. Quinn and Medicine Woman.
This has been good going down memory lane.
Woo! It's better to do that than sit around and complain,
absolutely,
groan, or worry about our cars because we're not getting them done at all.
I actually come in the house pretty pissed off. And I was just like, man, I wanted to be home. I need to finish this engine. I got all my paint. I got everything. The motor's ready. All I got to do is like stick a few things on there. And I'm like, we need you to go to Crystal Lake, Illinois. And I'm like, that's 2 hours from me. North. That's going away from the house. And they're like, well, that's all we got. Or you can just come home empty. I was like, well, I can't afford that crap no more after last week I had. I said, so I went up there. And they waited. And then I had to deal with rush hour traffic from northern Chicagoland all the way south. I was like, yeah, I wasn't sure I was going to make it. That's why I didn't post I was doing them.
We should do a trivia night and just play the TV show theme songs. Hold on. It's almost there.
Oh, geez.
That's the Northern Exposure.
That's Northern Exposure, yeah.
One we've all forgot, Fraggle Rock.
Oh,
yeah. So I like that they brought it back because not that I didn't mind showing my kids the old one, but they brought it back and it still has a similar feel. Oh man.
Yeah, Big Block's talking to you. You better pay attention.
Yeah. The part about selling it is the part I have the problem with because it takes money. And
you might have a Pontiac that you can go get, it sounds like. From Terry, possibly.
But again, it takes money.
Yeah.
I don't think people quite understand the level of brokenness. Like, I have new hats. Feel free to go to buffsgarage.com and pick them. I can afford to go do what everybody's offering because I would love to absolutely have a 455.
But I'm right there with you. I know.
389. I don't care. I'll take the 350 from Terry's car. I'm just not going to New York to get it.
Yeah. And congratulations to Big Block on picking up that Coronet. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
When he shows us all the different ones that he had the options of, I'm like, how do you turn them down? But again, got to go to buffsgarage.com, buy a hat so I can afford to do that. I know where there's a bunch of them.
I just need my truck not to blow rear ends. And I'll be just fine.
Well, I'm tickling the idea of taking the 78 Trans Am. It's not that it's a screaming performer or anything like that.
But it's going to get a lot of attention.
It would, but the problem is, if I take the 78 versus the 99, the 78 is going to cost me literally twice as much to drive down there and back. So it's hard for me to do right now because I'm in the same boat, if not worse than you are.
Yeah.
I've got nothing cash wise, and I don't even know if I'll make it. I paid. I'm planning on going, and I'm going to do my dangdest. But I find if I don't plan, you're never going to do it. If you do plan, there's a better chance of you actually making it.
So Thumper asked the question, and I get asked this question a lot. How much are you willing to pay? Well,
yeah, same as me.
There's nothing in it. Like, I just now got to where I'm only, what day is this? This is the 9th. I'm only 9 days short of being caught up on house payments. And I know Jay and I have had this discussion before, but there was a point where house payments were a little difficult to make for a while. And I may or may not have not been making them for a while, but I finally got to where I'm caught up on that. Well, I'm 9 days late, but it'll happen. It'll happen next week. But in the meantime,
awesome, man, that you're getting caught up anyways.
Yeah. And what I'm getting at is when you have to decide, everybody's throwing all this stuff at you going, well, why won't you spend the money on this? And why? I've given you this deal. And it's like, guys, I might not have a house.
Yep.
So I'm not trying to boo-hoo. It's my own fault that I got myself into this situation, but you're just trying, you recover and you go, okay, I need to have a house more than I need to have a Pontiac engine in my car because it already has an engine and it runs and drives. Thanks for everyone offering, but they're like, you just want everybody to hand you stuff. No, I'm saying if you want to give me one, I will gladly take it and work on it. If you want me to pay for it, I'm sure it's a great price. I have no doubt it's an amazing smoking deal.
People don't understand.
But I got to have a house first.
Anymore.
Right. Everybody wants what it's worth, and I don't blame them. I hope that you get every dollar that you can get out of it. I can't do it right now.
With the Javelin, everybody's like, why don't you stick like a 390 or a 401 in it and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I could probably do that. I actually do have a 401, but to build said 401 is not exactly, I can build probably 6 small block Chevys.
Yeah.
Thumper, if you
cut the corner off, and for what reason? I'm not a racer.
I'm in Kansas, Thumper.
My 304 works just fine.
Right. And that's my thing is people want to hate on the LS and I go, give me something else then.
Dude,
how much are you willing to pay? And I said, no, give means hand it over.
Yeah. The simple fact of the matter is I'm totally with you guys. Do what you want to do and what you can do and just get on the road. That goes for anyone. If your thing is to have a fully factory fresh concourse restoration and that's what you love and that's what you want, then go for it. That's not what most of us are going for. We just want something that drives and we can have some fun with.
He says he's in York. Let's see how far that is. So I'm in the worst part. I am halfway between Missouri border and the center of Kansas. I'm halfway between that, and I'm halfway between Nebraska and Oklahoma. So I'm perfectly centered on the right side of Kansas, which is the wrong.
There's no big roads going north or south.
No, I got 75.
Oh, I guess, yeah, okay.
You can basically take that all the way to Canada.
Well, how far are you from Irish?
Way far.
You
probably 7.5, 8 hours.
Yeah, okay.
I'm only about an hour because Dalton's on the other side, so about an hour and a half from Dalton.
And I'm 5.5 hours from Dalton.
Yeah, so just add the hour and a half. So York, Nebraska. So you're 4.5 hours away, and it's gross and cold up there.
Here it's just gross. It's not so much cold.
Don't get me wrong. I woke up this morning to snow on the vehicle. And then by afternoon, literally, I walk into the store and I look out and there's the dads with the socks and the Crocs and the shorts and the T-shirt. And I went, it snowed this morning. and you're wearing shorts, t-shirts with your socks and Crocs. Like, I don't get it.
Oh, well, you must have some
Around, no
Canadians
coat
down
on.
there.
What's that?
You must have some Canadians down there then.
Yeah, probably.
It was warmer here today. It's just the damn wind.
I heard Southern Arkansas was the place to be today because it was beautiful. And I've got a friend going to hook up with Just Mopar Joe to get some parts for their vehicle.
Nice.
And then they're going to drive all the way up here from Arkansas to Kansas so that I can put the parts on my channel. I went, okay. So I got the hookup with Just Mopar Joe to get the parts.
Yep.
By the way, awesome dude. Like, we're talking full bumper grill, everything, $50.
Yeah, Joe is fantastic.
Joe is a good dude.
Very good guy.
Okay, so he says pile of Pontiac engines, Racer could drive it down there for you. Who's Racer?
38 POS Racing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I get the LOL, but no, seriously, if you're coming this way, put an engine in the back and bring it to me. I won't know what to do with it, but I will gladly take it and try to figure something out.
I know what to do with it. You fuel inject it.
I know a guy with some Pontiac parts that lives about an hour and, what did I say, hour and a half from me? He just won't give me his engine that he's got.
Well, it's interesting because that 350 Pontiac with the fuel injection that I was working on, I'm starting to toy with the idea of using the LS computer rather than the OBD1 computers so that I can get rid of the batch fire and go.
Do you know somebody that'll program it for you?
I'll do it.
So what would make you go from an LS computer to like some of the new stuff they're using? Like, I had somebody tell me I could get this, I don't even know what it's called now, Raspberry Pi something or other display, and run my entire engine off of that and the software. And
well, you can. There's all sorts of stuff out there. Like, for like what we've done before, I haven't had much to do with it. My buddy was doing it, but I've helped him and worked on some stuff with him in the past. And he knows this stuff way better than I do. But he took the old OBD1 stuffs, like out of a 92 GMC truck or a Caprice or something like that, where you actually had to flash the EEPROM.
Right.
So
and
he bought all the equipment, and he knew which computer to get. And so he's got that. And that's back when they had the Mega Squirts and everything else too.
Yeah, there he goes. That's what Mega Squirt. Yeah.
Yeah. But this was still a junkyard route to go, right? It's really, really cheap if you know what you're doing.
That's my style.
Yeah.
I like that.
So, and that's kind of where I'm at with I was just thinking that stuff's getting a little harder to get. That's the problem, right? You don't get the 89 to 95 vehicles in the junkyards much anymore. They're kind of getting rare. So that's where I'm thinking, well, the LS computer and stuff, it's all over the place.
Yep.
It's junkyard stuff where, you go to the right junkyard, you pick one up for $20-$30 probably. So that's where I'm toying with the idea. Well, I wonder if you could adapt one and easily make it work, or is it just cheaper to do the Mega Squirt? Or right. So I was thinking about toying. I was toying with the idea of actually the biggest thing to overcome would be to trigger it. That's for the ignition, right? And I do know that Holly does make a distributor that would probably work for Pontiac, but just toying with some different thoughts.
38 POS Racing. So are we talking Minneapolis, Kansas, or Minneapolis, Minnesota? Because Minneapolis, Kansas is 3 hours away. Minneapolis, Minnesota is 8 hours away.
Yeah.
So either way, it's a long way.
And the other thing about the LS computers is there's now some freeware available for tuning.
So you don't have to do the HP tuners then?
You just need a Bluetooth dongle and you can laptop and away you go. And so that's why I'm kind of toying with, well, maybe I'll do a video on that and get together with my buddy and put
look at that. Thumper's got your solution right there. So I have a 90s 460 in my RV right now.
Okay, nice.
It gets horrible fuel mileage, but man, it fires up every single time.
Well, my 75 Dodge Venture motorhome has a 360 in it and also gets horrible fuel mileage, but that thing's
So
fun.
what's crazy is I sat it in storage in Alaska for 6 years, went back up knowing that I hadn't touched it in 6 years, put a fresh battery in just because, and fired right off. Like, it is flawless. The battery, I've got them unhooked right now, or I've got them trickle charging, whatever I happen to be doing this week on them, but trying to keep the batteries to last longer than a year, right? But if the battery is fresh on that thing, it fires up every time. It is flawless.
Well, it's like my Trans Am, my 78. That Pontiac fires up all the time.
Yep.
And it's got crappy gas in it. And I got
Right.
actually rebuilt the carb on it, I think, but well, not I think. I know I do, but I don't like carburetors. So
Well, my 90s 460 has fuel injection.
yeah.
Has any 460 got? No, there's no 460 that gets decent gas mileage. So here's what I actually got an extra mile per gallon when I did my figures. When the 460 for the 90s anyway has this weird 2-tube intake that goes into it, and inside those tubes are what looks like big horns, but it's inside. And so what you do is you take all that out, and you take a Dremel tool or something, and you cut those horns out and pull them out. And then, of course, you just got these big 3-inch tubes now going into your intake versus those restrictors. It's louder, but you can take a 27-foot motorhome and hit the throttle at the stoplight, and it will go instantly. When you're towing up and down, I go to the Ozarks all the time, and you're towing a vehicle with a 27-foot motorhome that's gas, you're not doing 45 up the hill anymore. It'll downshift and actually stay going highway speed. And that's all I did to it. And I actually gained a mile per gallon out of it. But it runs really well. I want to take the cat off too, mainly to sell it so I'll have money, but also it'll open up the exhaust quite a bit. I don't want it to be louder. I just want it to flow better.
Boys, I got to get off here. I got to be at work in the morning.
Yeah, same here.
I got to do some paperwork signing tomorrow, and I got to get my butt back to Chicago.
Yay.
I'm so glad I don't live near there. I miss the old Chicago, but I don't want to ever go back.
Yeah, it's only pretty around the bean in the bowl.
Yep.
Other than that, it's complete garbage.
Yep.
But yeah, I better get off here. I gotta.
Well, as always, thanks for having me on. It's great talking to you. It's great talking to everyone in the chat.
Yeah.
For sure.
Everyone have a wonderful night.
Yeah, you guys too.
See you next week.
Later.